Project Superman, an exclusive interview with Andy Perro by Eve Francis Lorgan, M.A. From Mind Control website. An exclusive interview with Andy Perro, survivor of a secret mind control project aimed at creating the super soldier with psionic abilities. Andy Perro was unwillingly subjected to a mind control program, offshoot the Monarch Project, a trauma-based mind control program similar to what Kathy O'Brien describes in her autobiography by Mark Phillips, Transformation of America. Andy Perro claims to have been created through a combination of genetic manipulation, trauma-based mind control, and Silva mind control training, resulting in superhuman feats and psionic abilities. In addition to this, Mr. Perro alleges to have been unwittingly used in covert assassinations as a Manchurian candidate, and also in missions connected to the Montauk Project, such as time travel. Andy Perro first went public with his story in August of 1998 as a special guest of Preston Nichols while at a lecture series hosted by Bob Ure of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I was so astounded with Andy's testimony that I interviewed him personally so that his story could be shared with readers of Unknown magazine. For those who are unfamiliar with me, I have worked for 10 years investigating and counseling UFO experiencers, abductees, and occasionally survivors of various forms of anomalous trauma such as ritual abuse and mind control. Because of my background in alien abductions, paranormal, the occult, and anomalous trauma, I recognized Andy as an extraordinary survivor of trauma-based mind control, one whose story should not remain hidden. Andy Perro. Andy, where are you from originally, and when did your training begin? I was born in Fallon, Nevada, in November of 1969. My father was a lieutenant commander at the Fallon Naval Air Station in Nevada at that time. I believe my first experiences began by the time I was 2.5 years old. At 5 years old, my family lived in Munich, Germany, and I remember attending 2 distinct kindergarten classes, one in German that was located on or near McGraw Army Troop Army Base, and another kindergarten in English. I have flashback memories of torture sessions as early as age 2, where I was subjected to shock treatments with needles inserted into my ears and genitalia. What they, the controllers, handlers, do is use extreme trauma to separate the mind from the body. They do this to split the mind into several parts that can later be programmed to do things like superhuman feats. Basically, they disconnect all the normal human brain impulses, emotions, and whatever is normally present, then reprogram in new ones. They do this to remove all fear, so that when they program in new abilities, you will not have the instinctual, "but I can't, I'm afraid," response. They program you to do, not think. In essence, they treat and program your mind as if it was a computer. Who are the people running these secret programs like Monarch and Montauk projects, and where do they conduct their activities? Our own government. One of my handlers, who tried to brainwash me into believing that he was my father, was basically a Nazi. I nicknamed him Adolf because he is very Aryan-looking. After World War II, many Nazi scientists were brought over to the U.S. through our own intelligence community, who formerly worked in mind control research in the concentration camps. I believe they are a remnant of the Nazi Party working in conjunction with different branches of the U.S. government and in the military. Much of my training and torture sessions were done right at the University of Rochester, New York. They used to take me to a private room in the attic or top floor of the library. The big lab where I had most of the programming done to me was at the Rome National Air Force Base in Rome, New York. I have also been used in the Montauk chair while at Camp Hero, Montauk, Long Island, and also in a chair in Atlanta, Georgia at Dobbins Air Force Base. The Montauk facility located in Camp Hero, Long Island was reopened by the Department of the Navy and is active to this day. Basically, there are underground bases located across the country. Each one has a different function and specialty. There is a facility in Rochester, New York, Paramus, New Jersey, Dobbins Air Force Base in Atlanta, Georgia, Camp Hero in Montauk, Long Island, and many others. In the Paramus, New Jersey facility is where they do the sex programming for many of the female agents. For the most part, 99% of them are involuntary sex agents and couriers who were raised in various mind control projects. What were some of the things the mind control programmers made you do? I remember my mother enrolling me in a Silva mind control course when I was 10. It's a type of self-hypnosis where you learn to go to different levels of your mind to do self-healing, relaxation, visualization, bending spoons with the power of your mind, things like that. This is also the time when I saw two peculiar military men who would periodically visit me throughout my childhood, especially sporting events. I did exceptionally well at Silva Mind Control and sports. So much so that the two military men approached me and said, "I hear you have some very special abilities. Someday you will work for us." At the time I didn't understand, but later the two men figured prominently in all the training all the way through my college years. Of course I didn't realize this until my memories came back. I did very well at sports and demonstrated a genius IQ, but I stuttered so badly until I was in my 20s that everyone just thought I was a dumb jock. The stuttering was due to all the electroshock treatments. I recall being subjected to electroshock numerous times, being placed in an enclosed water tank and told to hold my breath underwater. Consequently, I drowned several times and would revive because of my self-created healing pool in my mind. I learned to create my own mental laboratory through Silva Mind Control, replete with a super powerful healing pool that I could heal any injury. I was forced to endure suffering beyond belief to accomplish superhuman feats of strength and survival. Tell me more about the various superhuman abilities you discovered you had. The trainers would put me into a trance whereby I'd be told I could jump off a ladder of minimal height. In my mind I believed that I was only jumping off a footstool or a short ledge. In actuality, I was progressively led to jump higher and higher heights to the point of successfully jumping off buildings and even out of planes without a parachute. When under mind control, I could do whatever I was instructed to do as long as I believed them. I would do 200 or more push-ups in perfect form, sometimes as long as half an hour straight, or until I was told to stop. I weightlifted 545 pounds on a barbell and squats while attending college and much more, 500 to 1,500 pounds, while I was under the mind control in the training laboratory not far from Rochester, New York. In my jumps, it was as if I was falling like a cat, calm and cool with no fear, focusing like a laser only on the landing. Are there others like yourself who have had similar training and experiences? I think there are thousands of other children and people who are used and many end up missing. Many die in the process. They are considered expendable. The ones who can survive the most rigorous programming live on to become what are known as the Montauk Boys. Duncan Cameron is such a person. In general, the boys and young men are trained to be couriers, assassins, and super soldiers, and even psychic killers. The women are mostly used as sex agents. Kathy O'Brien's story is an example. What kind of special missions or time travel experiments do you remember taking part in? There were times I remember being at the small Rochester airport being picked up in an F-16 fighter plane and ending up in some southwestern desert terrain, either for special military training and obstacle courses or assassination missions. I remember seeing other men in black t-shirts and pants on the same training course at one time. Other times I found myself in some aircraft carrier out at sea. After the mission they would take me back and I would return to college after a couple of days or even hours, not remembering what even happened. All these missions were done between the time I was 15 years old and until 1988 to 92, under deep hypnotic programming with the memories erased, until some of my memories started to return. I was also taught to handle various types of guns, loading, cleaning, special characteristics of each model, and firing at exact targets repeatedly and perfectly without thinking, just doing. Tell me more about your involvement in the Montauk Project. I was involved in an offshoot of the Montauk Project called the Montauk Chair. Basically, the Montauk Chair was developed to give the human and spirit a zero point of reference to facilitate time travel. What the chair essentially does is separate the mind from the body. The chair operator's thoughts and vibrational energy is picked up by umbrella-looking antennas above the chair, sent to a computer over to a processor, then amplified several hundred times. The information is sent to a network of free energy crystals arranged in a circle. Then whatever thoughts were amplified, that is, a time period, a wormhole would open up in the room. The wormhole was as large as 16 to 18 feet across, and even large enough for a truck to go through. In Camp Hero, Montauk, the location is the crosshairs of the Earth's biorhythms, and is the point on Earth where time travel is most easily accomplished when Earth is in the point of origin. My part of the Montauk Chair project was to use my focus visualization skills to think of specific time points in history that were assigned to me. The chair is connected to a sophisticated computer system and thought amplifier, such that when a thought or time period is visualized, the computer simulates a time portal based on that point in time. A series of time portals are done until a library of time periods and portals are accumulated. The chair is also used to amplify extremely focused thoughts to create three-dimensional materializations based on the operator's thoughts. Preston Nichols wrote several books on the Montauk Project and describes an incident in which Duncan Cameron created a monster while in the Montauk Chair. One such time travel mission was called Project Southern Cross. It was used to win World War II in favor of the Allies. What the U.S. government did, using time travel, was to go back in time to the 1940s to help us win the war. We would deliver communication devices, weapons, and technologies made out of 1940s parts. These would be delivered to the 1940s, along with a complete set of drawings on how to make them out of 1940s parts. I took part in several of these deliveries. One time I was sent to Germany, and another time to England. I was not allowed to speak to anyone other than deliver my parcel and quickly return back to our time, as this was all done under deep hypnotic programming, so I didn't have a lot of freedom to explore. I was gone no longer than 2 hours for the deliveries. Wow. Have you ever encountered any extraterrestrials or seen any aliens in any of your underground base memories? From what I understand, the Department of the Navy made an agreement with the alien Greys to exchange technologies for human women and children to conduct horrific breeding experiments. This is what is going on right now in an underground base not far from Miami, Florida. One of my most disturbing memories is being escorted down a hallway in this underground lab and seeing cages of chicken wire fencing with women and children screaming for help. I have seen gray aliens, the 4-foot-tall ones with large black eyes, and also 7-foot-tall reptilian beings in some of my experiences. I have been told that I have many children from alien breeding experiments. I have had abductions with the Greys also. On one occasion I was introduced to a reptilian being while in an underground base sometime in 1989 or 90. At first I saw a 7-foot-tall human Aryan-looking man. He walks towards me and I notice that his image phases out as if something interfered with an energy field. He does something to a device on his belt and tells me, okay, I'll show you. Then he pushes some button and then I see his image change into a 7-foot-tall lizard-like creature who looked and weighed over 400 pounds. I was introduced to a group of beings that claimed to be a subgroup of the Illuminati. They were made up of a group of about 40 to 50 men, all 6'2" or taller, white, and of an indeterminate older age averaging 70, but I suspect much older considering the technology they have access to. They convened in a boardroom that I believe was in an underground base, perhaps Camp Hero, Montauk. They sat around a large football-shaped table made of wood. Each high-back chair had a light at the tip, and each sitting had a TV type of screen and a control panel that came out from a table. There was a huge screen located in the front of the room as well. I have reason to believe that not all the Illuminati are human, but in actuality are alien beings that appear to look human. Oh, who or what groups do you think are running the show here in the U.S. or even on Earth? How do the aliens fit into all of this? It's very complicated, but basically there are 4 main versions or groups of the New World Order, all with slightly varying agendas. The first group comprises the U.S. and Western Europe, that is, England, Germany, France, and the U.S. The second group is Eastern Europe fused with Western Europe and the U.S. The third group is the countries of the Orient, and the fourth is the Middle Eastern Saudi Arabian elements and all the oil money. There are also off-world groups, aliens and future human Nazi types called Zardanians, Reptilians, Greys, and Dracos, who also have a hand in the New World Order plans.